are the brave. We'll fight you in name, the name of the fray. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save, this land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say to us that star-spangled banner again, wave for the land of the free, and the home of the
Okay, folks. Hey, it's one of those times, again, welcome to the program, where you get to ask me anything. The rules are very simple. If I don't have an answer for you, I'll tell you. I just don't have an answer for that one. If it's something I can't tell you the answer to, I'll just tell you, well, I really can't, answer that. Nothing's off limits. Just be respectful. Nothing's off limits. I do not begrudge you asking questions, I guess, unless you're a UFO. No, I'm kidding. Ask me anything you want, guys. Somebody got mad at me the other day for muting them temporarily in chat and kind of got all upset about it. And I said, it was not about you. It was about everybody in chat. And I wanted to protect the dialogue. Anyway, that's what an Ask Me Anything is. Ask me anything. I don't care if you're 17. I don't care if you're a pirate. I don't even care if you're a UFO. Now, if you're a combination of that, no. Anyway, you ask me anything, guys. You ask me anything you want. And that's how it goes. Put it in chat. I'll be watching across the various platforms, whether it's Getter or, Rumble or Locals or etc., where I can see them in the chats, etc. Just fire away. That's what today is for us to reconnect, right? And talk. Today's program, by the way, is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Pay attention. The digital euro is a thing, which means it's coming our way. And I just want you to be aware of it. Here's what I'd like you to do, right? Here's what I'd like you to do is go to JovanLovesGold.com. Request your free gold and silver kit today, because now's the time to protect your money in silver and gold and whatever you can do with it. Paper money is, what's the saying? Worth the paper it's printed on. You just got to think about that. You just got to think about that. Okay? Please go to JovanLovesGold.com. Fill out the form. Get yourself, your mind fed on what you need to do. Also, if you need a little rest and relaxation, right? The dubious doobie. Have you tried CB Distillery yet? Don't be like me, folks. I have to tell you, even the adventurous spirit in me, and I do have an adventurous spirit, simple rule, try everything twice, not once, twice. Because the first time just might have been a bad experience. So you got to try it twice. I put off trying CBD. It was foolish of me, because I think of how many years I wasted in pain. Many people use it, right? It works with everything. Your body helps stress, pain after exercise, mood, focus. Maybe you sleep, right? Etc. It just makes your life better when life makes everything harder. Wake up, folks. Wake up rested, enjoying your day. For those nagging aches and pains with the real win of CB Distillery, I'm going to give you a code. You can zap it on the screen. But this is why 2 million people trust CB Distillery. The roll-on's the bomb. So if you're ready for better sleep, less stress, feeling good on your own skin again, Try CB Distillery. Right now, you get 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery. Use promo code Jovan. That's cbdistillery.com. Promo code Jovan, cbdistillery.com. Okay, I'll tell you how this works. And I really mean it when I say there's really kind of no question off limits. I'll give you an answer. And so that's what we're going to do. And so people are already asking about what type of plants I like, some question about bushes, right? Or Josh Gates on other channels doing exploration. I'll try to get to them all. Put them in chat. Put them in chat. I don't want to why my Gitters chat not working. I think sometimes the Gitter folks thinks I'm ignoring them. I'm not. The feeds, the programs that I use allows me to, in one program, see all the different questions across all the platforms at once, right? Dina says, I bet we can hump Jovan at least once. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Stump Jovan at least once, right? We can. Who knows? Maybe. Great. Wonderful. Try. Stump me. Right? Stump me. Stump me. Stump me. Stump me. If we can, we'll talk about early things. We'll even talk about early childhood exposure to diseases. Okay? So share this program. We're going to have some fun. Ask me anything. Politics, polys, polygamy, ticks, combine it, whatever you want. Get that nagging question answered by this nagging person. Okay, get ready. Starting 1 minute, 41 seconds.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, this is called Ask Me Anything. It's not make any blanket statement, because I might ask you to qualify what you're saying. But it is Ask Me Anything. Now, I'm going to show you how this works, right? In the various chats. If you're on Twitch, Facebook, let's see, get Twitch, Facebook, and X, I can pop you on the screen, sometimes a little quicker, right? But it could be random. I'll give you an example. In fact, I want to change this style. Bink. So you might be able to see the questions a little easier. So Craig Snyder wants to know when, right? When is best to harvest spaghetti squash? And of course, you know, I'm a gardener, etc. But this is just an example of how it happens. By the way, Craig, it's really easy. The squash should be a very deep, uniform yellow color. That's obvious. You don't want green in there yet, but press your fingernail against the skin. If it resists the puncturing, right, meaning it's hard, then that's the time to crack open that spaghetti squash. If it's tender, your nail sinks in. Well, it's an immature squash. Don't do it. The only other way I know of to tell if that squash is immature, if it just tells stupid knock jokes while you're in the garden. Past that, I don't know what to tell you. Now, let me show you the difference between a statement, right? A statement, etc. Tracy asks, do you think Netanyahu is an asset to our country? Or are we backing a con artist? That's a question. That's a question. Dobb said, con artist. Well, let me kind of give you an example of how I decide things. I predominantly like to decide in my life, if I've met the person, then I can offer an opinion. The second thing is, if I have dealt with a person in any form or capacity, then I can offer opinion. Or if I've done a deep dive on the person and or know people around them, then I can offer an opinion. From that, if my only source of information is from social media and what other people say, it's best not to offer an opinion, because really what you're doing is you're offering an opinion of an opinion of opinion, and that's just not a good way to live a life. And so, look, politics sucks. To even be in politics, you have to be able to compromise. So you already know you're dealing with somebody that is always going to have to, one, compromise, but also, on the other hand, always has to play both sides of the fence. My direct thing about Netanyahu, not bad, and he's a warrior. But I get my information from other sources, not what people who don't know their hoo-hoo from a hole in the ground, which you shouldn't do either. Let me tell you why you shouldn't do that either. Because if you do that, you're still doing the same crap we did with mainstream media, telling us what to think, not even knowing, and just repeating it. You know, one of the things we all have to do in our life is we have to break that bad habit. We have to break that bad habit. And if you don't understand what all of this is about, we're going through a time in history of good and evil. So let me give you an example. Here's what we'll do. Ready? Hold on. I'll show you how this works, because I'm a fair fellow. So Dobb Tharp basically says, I'm spewing horseshit again. Dobb, here's the link. I think people learn by exchanges. People learn by exchanges. MB says, what's your opinion on latest Nick Fuentes flip-flop on Israel and Jewish people? Nick Fuentes is not even on my radar. He's an idiot, and he's paid to spread idiocracy. So he's not even on my radar. So I really don't have much past that. I don't care what he flips-flops on. That's his thing. But Dobb, here's how this works. I'm sending you a link. I'm sending you a link. Okay? Come on. You tell me why I'm spewing horseshit, and you tell me why Netanyahu is a con. I'll let you talk. We just don't run over each other. And let's let all sides hear. Right? I have nothing to hide. People shouldn't hide behind chat. So join us, right? Let's see some of the other. I told you about Nick Fuentes. I mean, why would you watch somebody whose whole shtick is to hate. Let's just look at this. And folks, lay off a Dob. Let him be his own man and come on, right? Lay off a Dob. If you understand Nick, and his whole job is hate and saying incredibly salacious or whatever stuff, right? Then you understand what his goal is. So if a person's goal is to create chaos, to say stuff that's incredibly wild or whatever the case may be, why would you follow that person or even care about it? They've already revealed what they are. So an interesting way is, why even talk about him? Here's an interesting one. Aaron says, what do you think is the greatest threat to Western society and the spirit behind the founding of this country? Free speech is a very, very, very important thing we have. However, I think it's abused in social media because it allows people to hide. And I think people like to get a rise or whatever just by saying it in social media because it gives them the opportunity to hide. So I think social media is incredibly dangerous. Do I think it should be regulated or whatever? Maybe on just, the porn side of it, but it should be wide open. You're right. It's a double-edged sword, but people, I think, should assume some responsibility. Here's what I mean. If you sit back in social media, right? If you sit back in social media, and this is Aaron's question, I'll leave it on the screen, and you troll and throw barbs, and that's what you do, right? I'll start off my program and have multiple thumbs down. People haven't even heard what I said, right? And Dob, I would really love for you to come on and tell me why I'm spewing shit or why Netanyahu's bad. Anyway, when somebody comes into social media and just calls names or trolls, you do understand that is a visual manifestation of them, not the program, not even the person speaking. It is a visual manifestation of them. They are just kind of doing a hit and run or getting attention or whatever the case may be. And so you need to understand the people who make those comments or the people who just kind of hit and troll. That person must have an incredibly unfulfilling, meaningless life in their own mind that they kind of get enjoyment. I'm going to troll and hit. It's really a statement about them. Anyway, anytime we do a ask me anything, it's all open. So I'm going to give you another one. Somebody asked, Mike Lindell's been found liable for slandering Smartmatic. That's correct. The court has ruled he's liable. Now there's going to be a court case to find out how much damage is applied. And you said at the same time, Patrick Byrne Group said they have proof Smartmatic stole the elections. How does that make sense? Let's look at it on its factual basis. Okay. And I'm going to try to find something. Pardon me for multitasking. I'm going to put this up on my screen. Give me a minute because it's coming across in a format where I can't put it on my system screen. And folks, after a few minutes, if I don't get to your question, feel free to repost it. Don't hammer me with it, but feel free to repost it. And I'm going to attempt to answer as many questions as I can today. Okay, so bear with me. And here's the question. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to hop over a moment to Twitter because I think I amplified something on this. Stand by. And we can talk about it. So let me see here. And wait. I get so much wonk traffic on my Twitter. Okay. I'm gonna shrink this down so I can get the whole thing. I'll show it to you. It was something that amplified. This has to do with Smartmatic and the question of Tina Peters. It'll help me answer this question about, and what was asked was, Mike Lindell was found liable of Smartmatic, but yet at the same time, Patrick Byrne is saying there's evidence. So let me put these up on my screen, and I'll be able to show you kind of what I feel about this. Okay. Mike Lindell's suit, where he was sued by Smartmatic, claiming Smartmatic stole the election. Okay? At the same time, he said it's the machines and the machine stole the vote. Now, you have to understand right from the beginning, that answer is legally not congruent because, as he said, a software company stole the elections, but it was the machines. I did a program on this. Smartmatic handles certain parts of some of the transactions. Now let's go back, because here's what's said. Smartmatic proof, here it is, independent confirmation of prior forensic post. Okay? So number one, it's a simple logical question. Smartmatic 2020, 2022, 2024 was used in exactly one single place in the United States of America. One place. That was Los Angeles County. Okay? Los Angeles County. So the first thing you have to ask yourself, legally, when Mike Lindell said Smartmatic stole the vote in 2020 election, from a legal fact-finding mission, tested against the statement that only Los Angeles County actually used their particular software. Now, in order for Mike Lindell's statement to be true, Mike Lindell would have to have evidence of Smartmatic and their software being used nefariously. Now, not could be used nefariously, but being used nefariously in Los Angeles County. I mean, it's a very simple proposition. He would have to prove the software was in use, not could be in use, not may be in use, but could be used. As it was being used, it rigged the election. And where was it being used? Exclusively Los Angeles County. So the only evidence that would be applicable to court to say they stole the election would be Los Angeles County. Then it would get measured in a court of law. Did Los Angeles County decide the fate of our nation in 2020? The answer is no. Now, you asked the second part of that, right? Is at the same time, Patrick Byrne's group said they have proof Smartmatic stole the elections. I'm going to show you the proof. Now, I want you to pay attention as I present this to you because it's really fast. Yesterday, a post was amplified that basically said Tina Peters' new federal evidence summary, chilling independent confirmation to prior forensic report. And it's from Patrick Kolbeck, who is Mike Lindell's Election Crime Bureau. I'll pop it up on the screen, but let me set this for you. Ready? Tina Peters' new federal evidence summary. Chilling independent confirmation of prior forensic report from Patrick Kolbeck. Okay. Now, let's look at the chilling report. And I'm answering this question because this goes directly to Patrick Burns, everything else. Okay. Here you go. Here is the chilling evidence. Okay, you ready? The evidence is Mesa County Forensic Report. That's the middle column. The second column is the Venezuela's whistleblower testimony. Okay? Now, basically what it is saying on the screen, I'll read the left column to you. Database reprocessing and inspection, log overwrite, audit trail eraser, remote access, wireless modem threat, exposed password source code weak encryption, use of utility test tools for vote injection, digital ballot image manipulation, foreign manufacturing supply chain risk, engineer architect personal overlap. Now, that column where it says method and vulnerability is a raccoon's opinion. Why? Because now we move to the middle category. That's called the Mesa County Forensic Report. What we have is someone's opinion that in their report, they say they could interject in a database. They could reprocess. They could overwrite. They could do this. They could do this. They could do this. And in vote injection, they say it, but they say it could happen. You can't prosecute somebody on could. It's a simple fact. Now you have this quote unquote Smartmatic, etc., that proof they stole the election. Well, let's go to the Smartmatic testimony from this guy supposedly working in it, contractor, secret ID, can't come out in the open. What does he say? Could. Well, they could do something on the database. Here's a tool they could do it with. Well, yes, there is the SAES tool in Smartmatic, which means you can track the software. And that SAES software was actually used in Los Angeles County. But isn't this the Mesa County report? That's the whole part of this. For me, going by the rule of law, you have to show it done, how it's done, etc. If you had 30 white hat hackers that saved the 2024 election, like Mike Lindell's news person says, it's always that same character in there, Mike Lindell, and 30 white hackers saved the election, they wanted to convince you they saved and got President Trump in. Well, why did they not save the down ticket? But then if 30 white hat hackers, who we can't name, another commonality, saved the election, you would have 30 digital trails of somebody coming into the system, getting into the software, seeing a vote, changing a vote, putting it to the EMS and going back out the system. That's an entire forensic digital trail. That's not what they have. And so they're trying to convince you very hard, and in my book, too hard, that Smartmatic did it. But at the end of the day, between the Help America Vote Act and between the Election Assistance VBSG, it's all voluntary and it has no enforcement power. But yet people like Patrick Kolbeck release stuff like this and say it's proof. Even this headline says it's federal evidence summary. There's nothing federal about it, and there is nothing evidentiary about it. It is several people's opinion, and one whistleblower thinking, well, they could do that if they wanted to. But see, that's the whole point, keeping you on the machines. And if you stay on the machines and you stay on the software, it's not enforceable. Nothing changes in the US. The system remains intact because there is no enforcement power. But then I'll ask you the last question, okay? So you got Lindell has been found liable for slandering Smartmatic. Have you ever thought about Mike Lindell didn't deliver? Just a question. We're going to see every county, every vote. Lawmakers going to be here, all 3,000 counties. We got all the information. You're going to see how they swapped the vote, did this. You can see what the real vote was. That was his exact claim until he got to court under oath and he swore, well, we never had them. So let me ask you a question. Everything I just told you, all the way to even this new supposed evidence, to even the newscast, the common denominator in all of it is Mike Lindell. So I just asked you a generic question. If Mike Lindell said, well, they didn't really have it, why would you trust it? If he spent all that time raising millions of dollars, we have it, they'll see it, and they didn't, why do you trust it? Now, let me ask you another question. And I'm going to go back. You just got to put this together for yourself. We're a couple of weeks away from releasing the Arizona audit information on paper. All of a sudden, really quick, we get this Cyber Symposium. Cyber Symposium hits first. Tells you it's the machines. We're going to show you everything. We're going to show you every vote changed. But when you get to the Cyber Symposium, somehow they made it about Tina Peters and never presented anything else, and it all became about Tina Peters and Mesa. Why can you not see this? Let's just say there was no Tina Peters. You ready? Let's play this out for a moment. The media got to say Tina Peters was running from justice because she flew away on a private jet. Let's play this out. What if there was no Tina Peters? And we have the Mike Lindell Cyber Symposium. And they go on air. What would the Cyber Symposium have been about? We know they didn't have the PCAPs. Their expert that was going to talk about it, when it comes up for that person, which wasn't a coon but was a monkey, all they said was, I've been told by my attorney to not talk about it because it's a hard drive from Tina Peters and it might have been stolen and that was a crime. That's telling in itself. He was there to talk about PCAPs. He was supposedly one that verified the PCAPs. He's coming on, even if you go back and watch it, he's coming on to talk about the fucking PCAPs. Damn it. I'm trying to get rid of that word, but he came on to talk about the PCAPs. You can go back and watch it. And when he comes up to talk about the PCAPs, what he says was, my attorney said not to talk about this because it's a stolen drive from Tina Peters and it might have been taken illegally. How does that connect with what he was supposed to talk about, what he was asked? And he made it about Tina Peters, and it went all the way across the world that, oh, these were stolen. How do you not get that? How do you not see that? What was supposed to be PCAPs all became about Tina. Here's the, and that's it. Why do people not be able to see it? And now people will, Mike's a hero, Mike got conned. This even Smartmatic stuff continues to come up. Now, I believe Mike used Tina to try to prove his Dominion case and get off of it. Now he's trying to use the Smartmatic stuff to say, well, it's really true and you shouldn't find me a lot. Folks, it's all crap. And it all has the common denominator from 30 hackers that saved the election, but we can't name them. We've got the PCAPs, but he's in federal protection. To we've got proof, well, this whistleblower, we can't really say his name, we're protecting him. To here's what really happened, and Tina, here's the expert did it. Well, he's protected by the FBI. He can't really appear. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Let's see what else. Let me go and I'm trying to get these questions. I don't know where Dob went. Dob, I gave you an open platform to educate the world, right? To educate the world on why I'm spewing crap. But isn't that interesting? What kind of person comes on, basically says you're spewing crap, Netanyahu's a con? I say, come on, let's talk about it. Tell me why he's a con and why I'm spewing crap. And then they disappear. You can only surmise two things. Number one, I've never seen that name before in my program. You can only surmise two things. They're either there to stir trouble and woefully uneducated, and they can't back their beliefs, or they were paid to be there to do it. That's out. How do you find out the truth about Bibi's intentions? You'll have to get a little more detailed than that for me, dear. Right? Etc. Teresa says, since Lindell did not have the PCAPs, he diverted to Tina Peters. No, I think it was always about Tina Peters. I think it was always about Tina Peters. Foxy Joe says, when is steak night at Jovan's home? I wish we could do that. I wish we could all get together, right? And do it. Somebody says, Jovan, what do you think of UK using digital IDs, and do you see it coming to the US? They're going to try their damnedest to bring in digital IDs. What you see happen in the UK is coming to our shores on all of it. On all of it. On all of it. Right? SBiz says, Jovan, if we live in Satan's realm, how do we know our gifts our gifts or blessings are from God, not from Satan? Because Satan's not incongruent. God's not incongruent. Satan's here to deceive and destroy. Therefore, if he gave you incredible gifts, you would know inherently, that voice in you, that you're deceiving, you're fudging, you're not really telling the truth. You can't be of two minds. You cannot be of two minds. So when it comes to gifts, call that a Holy Spirit thing if you want, he can't plant the gift in you and you not know you're being used to plant a good gift, but he's using for evil. Therefore, it comes down very simply. Satan will take somebody they know they can corrupt and will influence people the wrong way, but get them to really sow dissension and evil under the guise of a gift. You can't separate the two. And so the bottom line is they're congruent. Satan's not incongruent. Jesus is not incongruent. Just like people can't be of two minds. You're either in or you're out. And so that's kind of how they reveal themselves. It never stands up to the test of time. And they will always, they will give you messages that you think are patriotic and or whatever. But at the same time, if you were to look at their actions are totally incongruent with what they portray. It would be like somebody trying very hard, everything. Let's just look at a scene. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to tell you I'm a Christian. I'm going to wear a cross on the outside. I'm going to quote Bible verse. I'm going to have a picture of the Lion of Judah behind me. But, oh, yeah, I kind of lied about the evidence we have in the elections. We never really had it. But that doesn't matter. Don't think about that. What matters is we kept talking about it. That's incongruent. Incongruence. Jovan, do you still believe the planes brought down the towers? Yes. 100%. Yes. Jovan, what do you think about Lindell's run for governor? You have to make, if you're in Minnesota, you have to make a very personal decision. And that, do you still want politicians, people that are weak, people that don't have personal fortitude to do what's right? Or are you willing to take somebody that can get a lot of donations and know they don't have the evidence, but keep on repeating it? And when it comes to court, they never had it. It all falls apart. But now I'm going to help you because I'll become your governor and I'll help you out. To me, that tells somebody who's compromised. Might look like it's great, praise Jesus, but character-wise, evidence. And yes, everybody's entitled to have their own opinion about everything. And if you don't believe it was the planes, that's great. That's great. And no, Jermac, as a controlled demolition. Don't you say it as a controlled demolition? Again, I'll just make one comment on it so you understand where I came from if you haven't seen my special. You do understand I had an office in Tower 2. You do understand I had an office at Rockefeller Center. I know these places. And there's a few things people don't account for, especially the ignorant say, hey, there's not enough fire in it you can't melt steel. Bullshit. How do you think you make steel? By melting it. How do you think you recycle steel? Jovan, Dobb is driving down the road going to work. Now we're in the third person? Somebody else answering for you? My cell phone works. Okay. People forget the paper, the wooden furniture, the carpet, the drop ceilings, everything in that building, right? And people are saying witnesses on the ground heard no planes. Okay, number one, all of those buildings are connected underground by shops and causeway, period. Shops and causeways. I'm going to tell you, look up something, and it's absolutely horrific. But I'm finally tell you how to understand how this happens. If you were to Google faces of death, and it will go right to, I still believe building 7 is somewhat questionable. I'll answer it for you. All of those buildings have underground shops, restaurants, all underneath. People really don't know much about that. So I'm going to give you something to Google. I want you to Google faces of death plus father and son plus airing up air mattress. Now, when you find that video, here's what you're going to see. Mom is kind of filming the kids and stuff, and they're on the beach, and dad's kind of setting over to the side, and he is blowing up an air mattress. You know, the little stem coming out. He's blowing up the air mattress. The son, not realizing what could happen or anything, totally innocent, runs while the guy's and jumps on the air mattress. He jumps on the air mattress at the time the stem is in the dad's mouth. That air has to go somewhere from that compression. And in an instant, it vaporized the dad's head. It was gone. Blew open like a melon. Just became a skin flap. He was there for a minute and he fell over, and the son is going, they're trying to figure it out. Well, see, that air pressure has to go somewhere. Now, in the dad, what happened is it hit backwards in the mouth. It's like spraying air in your mouth, and you've done it, right? It's going through the sinuses, and it's going in the lungs, and it blew them apart. It has to come out. Now with the Troy Towers, you got all of this becomes air compression. Boop, 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 boop. It is no accident that the building came down like this, because the fulcrum point they hit it at was to treat the top as a hammer. And that weight impacted coming down. All of, and people are saying the buildings didn't blow out. You're right. That's not what it was. They weakened the structure. The fire, people, paper, table. We had file cabinets then, folks. Everything was paper. Tons and tons and tons and tons of paper. That heat further weakened it. And the stories above acted like a hammer on a nail. And it imploded in a compression implosion. All of that air went down into the ground. And as it ran out everywhere, that's the other places where you see all of, right? The pressure come out. Okay, hold on one second. But that's where the pressure goes. Boom, 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 boom. Somebody says, Building 7 was in free. Fall for 14 floors, controlled demo. You didn't even, I sit here and explain it. You've never set foot there in your life. And I'm telling you what it was. All of that air coming underground, it's like a freaking tidal wave. And it blew it apart on those from the ground down. It blew everything out as it comes ripping up, right? Period. Ripping up. You just have to have the understandings. And you're not even considering it. But again, you're also, I did the math and forensics on it. I gave you the measurement of the carpets, the measurements of the plastic, the polyurethanes under the floors, the drop ceiling, the estimated number of file cabinets with etc. Period. Okay? Period. You're being told that the steel beams melted. The steel beam, and you're telling that, you're hearing this. The steel beams didn't melt. The steel beams softened. And under the load bearing, okay, the building collapsed. It's all about a singular word. It's all about a singular word. If you want to do a test of this, okay, get your air mattress out. Perfect time of year. Go buy a pumpkin. Right? Connect, get your little hose from the air mattress stem, get you one of the metal stems if you have it. Stick that stem into the pumpkin. and then jump on the air mattress and stand back and watch. Right? There have been all kinds of industrial plants all across the United States, especially chemical plants that have gone up in fire and have all had steel structure failure. You're being used with a singular twisted word that the steel melted. No. Why do you think you have that iconic photo? It's not that the steel melted. And people say, well, Tannerite did it. You can't. You can't. You got to understand, I take this seriously because my life changed on that day and I lost people in my company in Tower 2. This is not a passive thing for me. Chaz says, they sure got rid of all that steel fast, no time to test it. Really? They got rid of that steel fast? Are you talking about the 20 plus stories underneath the ground, the hole it went into? They sure got rid. See, you will make an excuse no matter what. But people, there was even thermite in the dust. Oh my God. Okay. Here you go. There was even thermite in the dust. Somebody said, oh, I looked at the chemical composition of what happened. And I'm going to answer this one and then I'm moving on to other questions. I'm going to, they found thermite. They found thermite. And it proves they used thermite. Well, let me correct you. What was seen in some analyzation, and I'm going to move on from this because it's just not worth the time. People were saying we could see tiny red, gray chips in the World Trade Center. And they said that's thermite residue. Okay. The papers, somebody did a paper arguing that the chips were an energetic composite material. Okay. Now, you understand the difference between thermite and a energetic nanocomposite material. One is thermite, like you're shooting your exploding targets. What an energetic nano composite material is the following. Okay, now hold up your fingers. Get ready. This is where science matters. Did they find thermite at the World Trade Center in the dust? No, they did not. What they found was what is called an energetic nanocomposite material. Now, what is a energetic nanocomposite material? Well, if you were to look at the chemical signature of thermite, you will find a mix of aluminum and iron oxide. That's thermite. Aluminum and iron oxide. Aluminum and iron oxide. So yes, they found in some places an energetic nanocomposite material which showed aluminum and iron oxide. And then somebody said, well, that's a chemical composition of thermite. Now, let me ask you a question. I want you to be honest. Was there iron in the building? Yes or no? Put it in chat. Right? Was there iron in the building? The answer is yes. Was there aluminum in the building? Just asking. Well, let's play that out. There's iron all over the building. Aluminum, file cabinets, tables, the little things that hold the tile ceiling in, people's eyeglass rims. Oh, and the airplane, all skinned with aluminum. So was there a reason for aluminum and iron oxides to be there? Yes. I understand what people have said. I even understand the firefighters saying they were hearing explosions. Okay. In a building on fire, totally engulfed, what could be exploding? It was drywall gypsum. Are you actually saying that the walls in the World Trade Center were drywall gypsum and that negates this, William? What do you think the gypsum was held on to? Aluminum studs to reduce the weight. Okay. If the building had explosions, what could explode in an office? Other than the natural gas lines that were there. Anything that was canned air, compressed air, aerosol cleaners, disinfectant, adhesives, air fresheners, compressed powders, any alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, acetone, any cleaning materials, computer inks. Oh, all of them were stored in supply rooms. That's I could print you a visual map. But see, people don't want answers. They don't really try to find what it is, okay? Period. And it's all there. People forget, in the steel buildings, when they're connecting the beams, they have and by the way, one of my jobs when I was young is I was a bull dicker. Look it up. I was a bull dicker for steel buildings. It's where you run the device through the hole. You're sitting out at the end of the cherry picker. You're riding it up. Basically, here comes the two beams. You got to line them up and you stick the bull's dick through the hole. Like this. It's big on one end, tapered on the other. And it's so you can line up the holes and bolt it. After it's bolted, the abutment in a high rise, two things happen. What do they do to the bolts and the connectors? In other words, when you got an I-beam here and you got an I-beam here, and yes, they're bolted in with pieces. They're bolted in, right? And I got a lot of steel huggers for months. We've all done it. And they bolted it in. What do they do to them? Just like they put together railroads. What do they do to them? They weld them. And in that scenario, railroads, steel beams, or whatever, okay, what do they weld them with? Thermite. It's basically a form of railroad welding, and they do it. It's not a welding rod at that point. So what they do is it's a very small pre-measured charged with a with a welding kit that's specialized. So when they hit it, it does create that extreme heat just to weld the pieces together, but it's not a conventional weld. That is a thermite process. So now I'll ask you a question. Could there have been thermite on the site? Yeah, there have been thermite all over that site. By the way, you want to see an explosion you can't run from? Take a fire and throw a bag of flour at it. Will the flour bust before it hits the fire? Oh, come on. I'm done with the bullshit. But, okay, well, you told me why thermite's there. Let's go over to building 7. But building 62.5 that I saw in the super secret special exposing, hey, don't tell anybody about this, but they have the super secret inside of the inside of the inside. Okay. Oh, I'm done with that. Sorry I went there, folks. But again, that is one of the ones. It doesn't matter what you say. It has been allowed to go on so long that people have made their minds on it. Vern asked, do you think that you got enough through to Trump on how important Maricopa audit evidence is? Did his people sweep it under the rug, etc.? President Trump knows 100% what happened in Maricopa and that Maricopa is ground zero. There is a huge effort right now to continue to push the president towards Smartmatic and machines and stay away from the paper. It's huge, and it's politics. And they have swarmed in on Tulsi and others, working night and day. No, it's the machines, and here's the software. You cannot expect those people to understand anything more, meaning Tulsi and team, than what they're told. And the system has brought in other people from the highest level to continue to work on it. President Trump's fighting it, trying to push it away, and it's a crock of shit. But it is such a terrifying thing on Capitol Hill that people are even afraid to mention it, right? Afraid to mention it because the con did its job. It's the machines. And when they deviate from the machines, they are made to look like they don't know what they're talking about. And that's part of the battle that's going on right now. Yes, you recently saw that in somebody's Amazon box, they got 250 mail-in ballots in the box for the November election. That kind of exposed how they collect them and distribute them and get them out there. That's it. Oh, yeah. And many jobs are on the line in DC and people want to stay in system. Right? Kuboto-san says, I'm confused on what Patrick's doing. He's a grown man, can make his own decision. You decide it based on rule of law. You don't decide it based on who do you like. You decide it factually on rule of law. Here's the question for Emerald or any of those. You said 30 white hackers stopped the hacking of the election and the changing of votes for 2024. Show me. And you will hear, well, they're white hats. We got to protect them. You won't see any evidence. Because, see, in order to stop changes of a vote on a server as it's writing the vote, somebody has to be in wanting to change it. You have to catch them changing it, see who they are, and repel them out. Total bullshit. Do chickens have fleas? Chickens have mites, right? Chickens do have mites. You could, there's a spray you can get, and if you're raising chickens, you should do this. Wondering why Donald J. Trump hasn't donated to the Gibson Go, because he's the president of the United States and it would compromise all the evidence. It would be disallowed. It's that simple. It'd be disallowed. They would say he paid to manufacture that evidence. Right? Now, for your chickens with mites, I thought y'all were, I saw that. I just didn't understand it was a question. Okay. There's a thing called a stick tight fly, or stick tight flea. Ephidina phagangia galileacina. I probably butchered that. They can get into their combs, they can get into their wattles, they can get into their eyes. But it's not in their feathers. The mites, the northern fowl mite, the red mite, the chicken mite, the scaly leg mite, and the depluming mite, where they lose their feathers, it's a mite that burrows into the skin, seals over their whatever. Okay? Those you can treat with diatomaceous earth. Simple sprays, always spray your coop, spray your chicken. Sometimes you can get a dip. You just dip them in it, pull it out, and it'll get rid of it. Sometimes if you're holding your chickens and they're friendly, you might see them pop on your arm and you'll feel them, but it's very, very hard to see them and it will be creepy. Somebody said President Trump still hasn't done the election, no mail-in ballots, EO. I told you right up front, he doesn't have the power to stop the states from doing it. And although he's trying to move the ball, there's internal debate of exactly how to do that. Now we're talking about mites and I'm going to itch. But you have to understand the rule of law, and they're trying to work their way around it. Let's see. Hey, Culpeper, Virginia, how's it going? Okay, let me go to some of these other questions. And they can be all over the place, right? Yeah, getting rid of grilling works too. It does. Adds a little pop to it, right? I did a whole show on weather seeding. Go back to that show and weather seeding. I do have a chicken named Duop that loves me long time. When I go to one particular family property, he crawls on my shoe and humps it and leaves his love juice on my shoe. I kid you not. Didn't know chickens did that, but it's weird. But Duop got attacked a few weeks back. Lost all his tail feathers, all his back feathers, right? And he was just ungodly bloody. So when I got there and saw him and found him, I had to go looking for him. I nursed him back, right? I nursed him back. And now his feathers are coming back. He has no tail feathers yet, but I wasn't sure he was going to make it, but he did. What it was a rogue coyote, and it had gotten 5 heads of livestock before I was able to see it in night vision and light it up and take care of them. Duop stayed away from everybody for a couple of weeks, but it seems like now he's on the mend, right? On the mend, etc. Somebody asked, do I believe we're going to go to asset-backed currency? I'm watching many places making that move right now. There's a big push to go asset-backed. A lot of foreign countries are doing it. More gold is being bought up by countries than ever before. They know something we don't, and I think there may be a move to go back on asset-based currency. Somebody says Will you invite Liz with Blessed by His Blood on for a broadcast? It's all about our life force. Don't know who it is. Send me links, etc. Right? Those of you who are saying that Stephen Gardner had somebody on his show talking about the machines and doing that stuff, ping Stephen if you want me on and say it. Hey, have Jovan and get his takes on the machines, and do we have enforcement there? Yes, somebody comment, the CO2 fountains in the restaurants for all the soda, those would have exploded as well. But building 88B fracture 9 top code secret 88 across the tunnel under the thing and by a ship said, okay. Let's see. Hang on. Got to get my eyeballs on. Give me a minute. The American people deserve the imperial boomerang, though, given their ignorant complicity of what their CIA had done been up to around the world since World War II. Yes. We have a problem in the United States of America, Wayne. See, since World War II, about the time we had, I don't know what, 250 million of us. When we were interviewing, as a people, we interview every person that works in government. It takes a long time, but we interviewed all of these people for these government positions. And in the interviews, all 200 million of it missed that the person could be compromised and whatever. And so you're right. It's our fault. We should have caught it in the interview process. Now we're better. There's 330 million of us. And as we each all individually interview each candidate for every government faction, especially CIA. Now, there's a little complication with the CIA. We can't really look them eyeball to eyeball. They sit in a separate room. They cloak them with darkness and they distort their voice. But yes, we do interview every one of them. And yeah, I guess you're right. We deserve this imperial boomerang. You got me there. Let's see. Trying to find the question. Stand by. Somebody says waiting patiently. Did I miss a question over in Getter? Oh, yeah. Everybody's still alive without the government functioning. The sky's going to fall. That goober guy that worked for Obama, Obama shut down the government for 17 days to force Obamacare. But the Goolsbee goon guy, he came out and said, I kid you not, the economist, President Trump's going to hurt America with this set down because it will affect getting timely reports from agencies on how America's doing. Yeah. Oh my God. All the consultants are not going to be able to get that reports out fast enough. Okay. Okay, let's see. Hang on. I'm keep on going. Okay. Let's analyze Dobb just for a minute. Is that okay? Let's just kind of analyze this for a minute. Okay. Dobb earlier, who said I was spreading poo-pooism or whatever, right? That I invited on, evidently has a very, 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 very long drive to work, has basically said that, answering some of you, the horse shit was he started off trashing social media. Where does he inform us? Social media. Let me relate this to you. When a politician does nefarious things, they drive cars, use mobile phones, and breathe air. Now, I know absolutely you're on a mobile phone, driving a car, breathing air. You must be bad. Is that how that works? Somebody help me out. Is that how this all works? Just want to know. Help me. Anybody, just help me. Is that how this works? Put it in chat. I want to know if that's how these things work. Is that logical thinking that I'm on social media? I warned you about social media. Therefore, I warn you about social media and on social media. Now, I happen to know who this fellow is. He's out of Kansas City area, right? Kind of a homesteader that takes shots all the time. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not sure why you follow me, right? I'm kind of not sure why you follow me, but help me out. Help me understand. You follow me. You follow my broadcast. So you follow me because I spew shit. Does that mean you're a consumer of shit? Does that mean the activities you do during your day is fill your mind with shit? How do guys help me understand this? Right? Help me understand this. Somebody follows somebody because they think they're full of shit. Just a generic question. I've always wanted to ask this. Do any of you follow people with your time because that person is full of shit? Is that a real phenomenon? You invest your time and effort in somebody because you think they're full of shit. Does anybody actually do that? I just think that's a little odd, don't you? Who has time for that? Whose life is so unfulfilling that they do that? Anyway, okay, so hang on. I'm trying to get back to all the questions. And if I missed one, put it only if that shit's good. That's right. You don't follow them if their shit's bad. You follow them if their shit's good. Okay. That's just kind of funny, right? Kind of funny. Well, buddy, now you're trying your American angle. If you don't know anything about Operation Gladio or anything about the history of the world in the 1900s, the motivations, tactics, and strategies of Ernie, then you should just sit down. Son, you must be new. You must be new. You see, I'm going to go back and remember, you're the one that said, we deserve the imperial boomerang because of what we as the American people did. I played it back to you in the wise ass crack. Well, yeah, you know, when we interview these guys, we should have caught it. And you come back with something totally different. Here's the deal. Your comment about we deserve the imperial boomerang is a crock of shit. Why? Because it's not about the American people. It's about the dark forces behind it. Oh, by the way, your second even post talks about those very dark forces from governments and what they do. Operative word, governments, deep state, people in power, not a fucking thing to do with American people. So thank you for answering your own question. Okay. Let's see. If you want your questions answered, throw them back up. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's October 2025. Could a government do something as nefarious as trying to kill its own people so it can pass laws to get things done? Yeah, we all know that. Look at the pandemic. Duh. But I want to debate Thermite and CIA. No, what you should be debating and focusing on is fixing our elections so those people don't get in. So we get people like Trump and Elon that clean this mess up. No, wait, it's Building 7, 8A, Department 42. Secret symbol, red Kenny shoe 7 orange light. Fuck. What's up with people? With their distractions, right? Here's the deal. Do you know what? It doesn't fucking matter in today's world. Not that I don't feel bad for the people that were even in my life that were lost. It doesn't matter. You know why? It's all broken. 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 Quit bitching. Accept personal responsibility for not paying attention and fixing our elections, and focus on what we, the people, need to do, because those rat bastards are supposed to answer to us, and you're not stepping up. But you are bitching a lot. Do I believe Charlie Kirk assassination was a psyop? No. Do I think AOC has cute hooters? Yes. Would I torture her for about an hour and have fun? Yes. Would I want to date her? No. Do I think she's a good person? No. I think she's a dumbass in a package that sold out to the system. And she will say whatever she needs to say to get that check. But she is kind of a cute little Puerto Rican girl that I could have fun with. I don't care about her politics, because there's a very interesting thing with taping her mouth and tying her up. We don't have to talk about politics. We're there to do other things. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. But then again, I'm kind of different. But don't tell anybody. The Jews did it. Okay. Tell Blue in the Face says, we got to love you, Joe Obama. Reserve the right to respect you for sticking to your own beliefs, even if I disagree with them. You're brilliant in too many other ways. Thank you. We don't have to agree. We don't. We don't. And it's totally fine. As long as we can talk about it. There's so many things you don't have to agree with. Now, if you're a female, right, and we're going to spend some time together, you do have to agree to call me Master and Neil. But that's about the only hard rule I really kind of have in my life about that if you have different views. What do you think about the outcome of Ilhan Omar now that it's been found that 48% of immigrants in Minnesota have been revealed they are illegal and really didn't have proper green cards? That's the con. And how'd they do it? Absentee voting. Absentee voting. Jovan Stare says, Jovan tortures for teenagers. Prayer is for men. Always stayed away from torturing teenagers. You mean that's okay? Camouflage duct tape. I don't use camouflage duct tape. I think that's stupid. You cover their bodies with camouflage duct tape. You turn around and all of a sudden it's like they disappeared. How the fuck do you find them? I mean, it's camouflage. But you got to understand me. I'm the dumbass that will, if I ever do go into Walmart, will see somebody with camouflage pants on, and I'll do like a deer does. You ever seen a deer when you're in camouflage? Only half of your body. Say you have the things of having your white t-shirt, but you get the camo pants on, the deer will start doing this. Because they're trying to discern, right? And so hunters get it. I'll walk into the gun shop or something and they got camo pants on. I'll go, because they're wearing camo pants and not. And I'll go, they'll look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? I go, how do you do that? Where's your bottom half? It's just kind of like your uppers floating around. How the fuck do you do that? It is camouflage after all. Yes, the people have heard it. President Trump wants the mail-in ballots gone. You may use that joke. It works very well. You just kind of go, because, I mean, if you're in camo, you're supposed to be a hunter, right? Well, that's what a deer does. If you ever made the mistake of walking on a deer when you're walking out from hunt, and you take your jacket off because it's hot and got a white t-shirt on, they'll be out there and they'll kind of go. They're trying to see, are you standing behind a bush? What is it? But do that into people. How the fuck do you do that? How are you walking? Where the fuck are your legs? I can see your shirt, but where the fuck are your legs? Okay. Let's see what else we got. Do I believe in polling? No. Polling is bullshit. Let me tell you why polling is bullshit. If we were going to poll in the United States of America to understand how America feels, you have to ask the United States of America. You don't go to a list and pay 9 people who are Democrats, 2 people who are Republican to answer this poll. It's going to be skewed. So even standing in a mall is skewed. How is it skewed? It's skewed by the ADI or the mall of where it is and what they think in their political system. It's skewed. I think all polling should be done only with verified users, and a sample poll should be 20,000 people. So I do not believe in political polling at all. And it's just like you don't ask somebody when you're price testing something and developing a new product, you don't say, what would you pay for this? It's a failed premise because you've been trained, not what would you pay for it, what would be a good deal. So you'll come up with a number in your head. You'll take 50% off because it'd be a hell of a deal. And that's what you answer. Therefore, it's broken by your own training systems and how you've been trained to think about it, because you're not hearing what would you pay, you're hearing, well, what would you actually pay for it, be a deal, and you're trained to discount it. Yes, Omar should be deported. Yes, Omar should be deported. I still don't understand. Jovan, tortures for teenagers, prayers for men. I don't get that one yet. You're right. Food Force Bible is a great gift. This is the time of year to do it. So you order it. You have it for your Christmas time. By the way, any of my books can be shipped gift wrap. Did you know that? Any one of them. Just make sure it has my name on it. And they can be shipped to you gift wrap, ready for the Christmas season. You do not have to wrap them. But it's the downtime as the winter months come where you plan your food forest. Keep on. If I've missed your question, please put them back at the bottom of the chat. If I missed your question, teenagers are torturing. Do I wrap it personally? I don't wrap it personally, but you might be able to pay me to make your pages sticky. Is there any progress on cleaning the voter rolls? People are saying we cleaned the voter rolls by saying, look, we identified this. They should have apartment numbers and they don't. Cleaning voter rolls to me has a very distinct meaning. You found the file that shouldn't be there. You got the file removed. You inspected the file removed, and you continually monitor it. Am I a flat earther? No, but I have nothing against flat women. Besides, more than a mouthful's of waste anyway. Some weird questions. States are not releasing, but they should be wiped out. You're right. Oh, hey, there was one earlier. Somebody wanted to know, what the hell was it? I'm trying to remember. What was it? What was it? What was it? What was it? What the hell was it? What do I think about kids and the phenomenon of let them get dirty, let them dig in the dirt? They used the procedural medical name and science name for it, exposing them to everything biologically so they get exposure and boost their immune system. I think it's great. I think it's probably one of the advantages we all had as kids that kids nowadays don't have, and therefore they're susceptible to a lot of things. Have I heard about the politicians getting their mortgages paid off and we found them? Yes, I said when Liz Harris exposed that in Arizona, because she's the epicenter of it, and Mark Fincham set her up to get her thrown out over it. I don't trust Mark Fincham at all. I said that's probably the most monumental thing we've ever heard. I look at it because when Arizona got exposed, the lawmakers within a week had a law out that says you can't look up lawmakers' mortgage status and stuff. That's how the money's being transferred. I'm convinced of it. And we should create a system to monitor that. And it can be done because mortgages are public information and can be done, right? Unchecked immigration is an invasion. It's an intentional invasion created by our own government. Therefore, the people who allowed the invasion in our government should be held culpable, right? Culpable. Do I think politicians, Hazad in Australia, should be allowed to have dual nationalities? listen to how I answer this very carefully. I have no problem with a politician having dual nationalities, but they cannot have, what's the word, dual fealties? Is that right? They have to pledge the proper word's fealty, right? F-E-A-L-T, right? Fealty, is that right? Fealties? Am I saying that right, folks? Hang on. It's fealties, I think is the proper word. Yeah, fealty. So he's talking dual nationality is also dual citizenship. Do I think politicians can have or should be allowed to have dual citizenship? Yes. Right? Yes. But what they should have is a singular fealty, oath of allegiance to one. And if they cannot profess, document, and do such, pledge as part of their fiduciary and government duty, if they can't pledge that fealty, then they can't serve office. Right? Can't do it. A person who is European, Latin, or whatever will by default have a Latin or European mentality and also be an American, right? So they're always going to have definitive opinions on each. You can never cut that out of the person. So it's about fealty. Where do you pledge your issues? Jovan, have you spoken with Bobby Piton lately? If so, how's he doing? I haven't heard from Bobby. I did get a message now that you say it. I think about 2 weeks ago saying, hey, if you get a chance, let's talk. I need to do that. Thank you. Jimmy says, treason charges to be realistically used for the biggest players. It should, but remember, our whole system's compromised, and they're worried if we use that on you, you'll use that on me. Right? Etc. Right? And don't ever think that the people coming across our border are only people from Latin America. That is not true. We are being hammered by every country, but we're the only country in the world where, at any given day, 130 countries are trying to bake into us, right? Into us. But yes, Ed Solomon has not stopped supporting me, not that I know of. If you know of Ed Solomon not supporting me, let me know. Ed and I talk. I don't know that. I do know that Ed has been co-opted by people who know nothing about audits, know nothing about math, know nothing about how it works. What they did is they attached to Ed, who's highly autistic, and they put Ed on, which is kind of like a treat for Ed, and they have on Ed a lot to make him look like he's on their side. Right? I've had that discussion with Ed. But Ed doesn't have the same ethic that I do, and let me tell you why. Ed is well, number one, is highly autistic. He suffered a setback in life with some things he chose to do. Because of that, he feels minimized. I don't care about that part of Ed. Ed's a freaking genius. And so I have the ability to give Ed the time of day and let him work with me on the Arizona audit. That's the only part where his math could be confirmed by exactly what was in the box. And Ed did a wonderful job. Ed can get distracted in a heartbeat. And others, I was on the Antifa call, or I did this or whatever, they wooed Ed and got Ed to be on with them. That's not about Ed. That is about those people trying to make it look like they're important or they have something to do on it. Who are we talking about on Fox? Anyway, that's it. Do I know Josh Gates? Love his TV shows. I do not know Josh Gates personally. We were in the same space for a while when I was doing exploration from a forensic side, and he was doing exploration. He started out as a ghost hunter. Then he started out as a monster hunter after that. And then they found out that people like watching him. So he went to school and got his archaeologist degree. So then TV could have him in the shows and saying he's an archaeologist. More power to him. He's got personal fortitude in television, and that's his thing. And his there is to create compelling content, and he does it. Yes, we were talking about Josh Gates. But I remember when he first started. I'll take 3 more questions and then we'll wrap up. Wow, I didn't realize I went this long. Last 3, put it in. Quick, put it in. Could you create a fast, inexpensive test for raw milk that people can get a safe product? Now, that's interesting. I want to go back and I'll give you a little bit of history on this because I did a program about why did milk get pasteurized, okay? Long time ago, when the dairy industry started, you got to have the background so you understand, okay? We didn't have transportation going across the country. And so what they did is they brought the dairy cows into town because they couldn't process the milk, couldn't transport the milk. So the solution was to get the milk cows closer to where people live. So all of a sudden they started taking like bottom stories of buildings, knocking out the front wall, putting a gate on it. And in the very buildings where people lived would be cows. So they were serving fresh milk up and down the streets. Well, they never really cleaned them up or cleaned out the fecal matter or any of that. And so progressively, the conditions were dirtier, and dirtier. And some of those dirt and bacteria hopped and got into the milk, and it eventually killing a swath of people, including some kids. And so that's where pasteurization and Louis Pasteur came in and said, well, we could pasteurize it. Now, with pasteurization, the government saw an opportunity. They weren't taxing milk. And they said, well, wait a minute. If milk can be dangerous, then we'll force them to pasteurize and they got to pay a fee and we can get money off of it. Well, we get this pasteurization process and it became the standard. Now, in order to protect that standard, which is something from the way 1800s ago, and it is not how people drank milk on farms. There was no problems. Have 1 million dairy cows out there. The people that were drinking it at the farms, getting to the farms, didn't have problems with this. City people did. But it became a government opportunity to tax and to regulate. And that's how we got the big dairy industry. Now, if you were going to test at home, right? If you're going to test at home, raw milk, or any way you want to do raw milk. Now, number one, you can always test raw milk. There's a pH test, etc., that you can do, and milk is going to be one by that might be kind of the hardest. Now, one of the things you can do is you can just do your basic sensory test. There's really no tools needed. Milk, when you smell it, shouldn't smell like milk. It should actually smell sweet and very clean. There should be no rancid or no barnyard smell at all. That'd be the first thing. Okay. If you just took a little test, just a little bit, you should, it should be creamy and it should be sweet, but it should be exceptionally mild. If you were to take just a little drop and put it on your tongue and it had any kind of bite of sourness or acidic, that's the bacteria multiplying. Also, literally, you can kind of stick your fingers in it like this, like a claw. You can kind of stick your fingers in it. And if you pull it up and it has any kind of stringiness to it as that runs off, then it can mean it's bad. Now, you can also, one way you can test raw milk is to do a quick boil test, which you can do at a dairy if you're testing raw milk. You take a little camping thing, put a little milk in it and boil it. And it should boil very smoothly, not hard, very smoothly. But it should quickly make a smooth boil, a smooth roll, right? Now, if in that heat, it immediately goes to curdles or clumps, then it's got the bacteria that's already doing it. You can also take raw milk, equal parts milk, equal parts 70% ethanol. You can have a little ethanol tester, and you can do this easy. Get a little spoon of the milk, right? And you can do a little equal part with 70%, meaning a 70% formulation of ethanol. And if it clumps right away in that test, it's poor quality and spoiling. Just like you test your pool for pH, your little pool strips. Okay, they change the colors. You can buy those for pennies. It's probably the more accurate test, and you can do it without contaminating anything. Put a little pH strip in it, pull it up. It should be between 6.6 and 6.8 in pH. If it gets below 6.4 in pH, it's already started to go bad. Those strips are a penny or two. So that already exists that you can do it. And if you want to get a little more advanced, you can get a lactometer, right? There's lactometers. You can use a refractor if you have one. You can use a ATP hygienic swabs you can test. That's it. But yes, just a very simple pH test. Just kind of like testing for, ironically, a yeast infection. Same thing, right? But raw milk is subject to the con. Government wants to control it. It has become an industry, etc. And the government wants to keep on regulating it much as can. I'm a big advocate of raw milk, raw butter. If you're out, get your own milk cow. If you drink enough, if you don't want a milk cow, get you milking goats. The only thing about milking, I personally don't drink milk. Every now and then I'll have, maybe a little cream and coffee. It's very rare. I cut myself off that. But the thing about milking products is you have to, if you're going to have a milk animal, goat or otherwise, right? I prefer hamsters. They're just very hard to milk. If you're going to have any milking animal, you have to milk them every day. Just the way it is. And you're going to keep them in a bred rotation so they're producing milk. It's better to find somebody around you that is producing raw milk, right? And buy the milk, best for cheese or whatever, etc. Be warned, if you've never really done this before and you get sold an animal, when you reach up to the tit and you're going to milk it. Be very careful. If you see two little nodules to the immediate left and right of the teat, back up top, so you'll have one teat. It's kind of an odd animal, right? Odd animal, but only have one teat. It's got kind of got a nodule on the right, a nodule on the left, up to the back. If you finally learn how to milk it, it's really not that productive. You will milk it, but then again, the things from that point on, that animal is going to follow you around like they're your best friend or in love with you, and they just will pester the hell out of you. So be careful. Be very careful, especially if you're not experienced in these things. Okay? Just, it can happen. It can happen, right? Just want you to know. Okay, that was one. Let me see what else I got. Yes, the government keeps outlawing milk because they're supported by the dairy industry. I know dairy farmers and stuff. Right on, right? I know dairy farmers and stuff. Not a problem. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm not going to have anybody come on live just because I'm not prepared to do it and I'm trying to wrap. Let me see. One of the things I want to try to really master this winter is cheese. Cheese. And yes, there is a huge war raging between light forces, dark forces, deep state, people that are ethical, and it's a huge, huge war constantly going on. It is. Yes, you're calling me out for milking with that thing, and yes, it's a lot of bull. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for the questions. I know when we do this, it ranges a whole lot of areas it can. I would like to do a Wisconsin cheese tour. I really would. I adore cheese, especially really good homemade cheese. I adore cheese. Cheese is such a fantastic thing and lost art. People should do that. But I would love to do I've heard of them. Just like you do a wine tour, you can do a Wisconsin cheese tour. And in fact, I found somebody that was doing Austria. It was Austria, and then they did Switzerland too. It was a mountainous highland tour in the Alps of dairies that made exclusive low batch artisan cheeses. Wow. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun? I just think that would be awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. To be in the high countries and looking out over the meadows and everything else, and maybe having some nice little crackers or wafers or veggies with some cheese, very, very thin, right? That's it. And no, last but not least, I haven't made any progress on my wine project yet. For those of you who don't know, I'm still designing it. So in a side of one of the family's places, cutting into the side of the mountain, cutting out a square, I have to allow it to have its where water can go on down by the side. We now have all of the blocks and pieces. I'm building a room into the side of the mountain, and then we'll roof it and cover it back with the mountain. And then in the bottom of it, dig gravel trenches. And I'm looking for where can I find the big true clay, untreated clay vessels. Right now, it looks like they come from, the Ukraine or Serbia or stuff. I have no idea how they'll survive the shipping. But folks, what you do is these containers go down in the ground, and you take grapes. You don't have to grow them because you can buy bulk grapes anywhere in any of the wine countries or whatever. But you take your grapes and you really don't even pick them off of the stems, and you really don't even have to macerate them, mash them like I Love Lucy in the bin. You just basically take the grapes and you throw them into this bin, a little bit of pure water, and then you put the lid on it. You don't even add yeast or any of the stuff. It's all natural. There's enough yeast already on the outside of the grapes, and it will ferment, and it stores, and it lasts forever. It's an ancient way to make wine the way they made it, right? And that's one of the things I would also love to master. Problem is I get too many projects that I want to do, and I can't do them all, but I am working that. Yeah, you don't wash the grapes at all because you don't want to take the yeast off of them, right? The only time you really want to wash to remove the yeast is, I don't know, if you're around Kamala or something, but that's different. But you just throw the grapes as they are, don't wash them, into this big, it's like a big clay vat, and you just cap it. I want to try that. It just fascinates me. Ancient way to make wine. You don't even put the little bubbler on it. You don't even put the little whatever on it. You do nothing. You just let it set. Right? You don't at all. Anyway, y'all have a great day. It's not an amphora, Joe. It looks like an amphora, but it's on a mass scale. With the amphora, it's like the Russian vessels, and they'll kind of come to a tapered end. It is like that, but these things are like 8 foot tall and 8 foot around. Right? 8 foot tall, 8 foot around. Johnny says he prefers his wine where you have virgins walk on the grapes to make the wine. I actually know from empirical research that you have it a little bit backwards, but I'll tell you the true formula. You have a lot of wine you've already made. You recruit virgins. You give them wine. You ask them just to stomp on your grapes. You got to tell them we're going to do it right. It's got to be pure. They have to be naked. And eventually you, after that, can have a wine party. Bush blueberries are the bomb. Bush blueberries are the bomb. And no, I don't use any pesticides. I had a big problem with the Chinese beetles this past year. I got a natural microbe that's in the mycelia, right, area that we sprinkle on the ground. It goes down into the ground, and then it will eventually kill their larvae that come up. Okay? Anyway, you'll have a great day. Yes, we'll try. I would love to do a cheese making session and even a winemaking session online. We'll just kind of have a day to do it. But let me tell you what I'm really interested in. I'm going to drop this on you. Ready? Some of the books, and I'm woefully behind schedules in the number of books I put out, but I actually took the time to get multi-thousand-year-old, like Greek recipes, Chinese recipes, Roman recipes, etc. True, authentic recipes from the period time. Okay? That's in a time where we didn't, add any of these additives and all this stuff. What I think I want to do is I'm going to release the shopping list in advance. So we'll call it 2 weeks for you to get the shopping list. And then I'm going to do a broadcast that's going to last the entire time of prep and cook and eating. We're all going to convene if you want to participate. And so we're going to be prepping at the same time as we all prep. We're going to be mixing it all together at the same time as we do it and putting it in the ovens or fire roasted or whatever it may be. Then we're going to plate it, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to all have dinner at the same time. and I will patch you in from your dinner if you want to share. But we're all doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, all in real time, and we will all share dinner together. And I think it'll be a lot of fun, right? We'll have wee breaks. It won't matter, right? But we'll do it all synchronously. And we will all have dinner together and you'll share it. But we'll all be making exactly the same thing, exactly the same way, trying out recipes that are like 2,000 years old together. And we'll do it as a family thing. And I think it would be great. And we'll have fun. And they won't need anything in an air fryer because they didn't cook that way way back then. You will have to supply your own virgins, right? I don't know that there's many. Good luck with that, but they're not an absolute requirement. But I think I've been working through it, trying to figure out how to pull it off. But imagine, I can have 10 or 20 of you at a time, and we will drop in on your dinners and process the whole time. It'll just be this big round robin of all of us doing it. Wouldn't that be awesome? I think it'd be fun. Anyway, y'all have a great day. I love you all. Appreciate you being here. I always like doing Ask Me Anything. So y'all take care. Love you all. Bye-bye.
We've got all the right in the world on our side, and there ain't no reason to be afraid, and there ain't no reason to not take the challenge dead on, because I'm going to tell you who we come from, folks. We don't come from some weak, jellyback, spineless people. That's not who we come from. None of us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what nation your folks hail from, how much money you got. We all share the same name. We are Americans. And at Bunker Hill, there was Americans. And at Fredericksburg and Gettysburg, there was Americans. And at Iwo Jima, raising that flag on Suribachi, it was Americans. And at Pork Chop Hill, there was Americans. Quezon, there was Americans. And on 9/11, there was Americans who ran towards those burning buildings. That is who you share your heritage with. You do not share your heritage with a weak and ineffective people who cower at the sight of trouble. You share your heritage with a strong and brave people who are determined to hold on to their freedom and for the freedom of future generations. Guys, it's time for us to stand up and be that generation. It's time for us to stand strong and proud and remember who we are. That we are Americans. And as long as we stand as the vanguard of freedom in this nation, freedom will survive people. Not only survive, it will thrive. So guys, it's time to put on our packs. It's time to fix those bayonets. It's time to get ready. We got a fight on our hands. And our fight is not for us, for all those generations that's going to come behind us. Let's save America, folks.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.